Building an arcade machine emulator in Linux. All that and more this time on Hak5.
Hello and welcome to Hak5. My name is Darren Kitchen.
My name is Shannon Morse.
It's your weekly dose of Technolust.
Welcome everybody. Yes, I am totally playing Mario Kart from 1992 up here.
How'd you do on that, by the way?
I got, let's see, 4th place. So I got 1 point.
4th place out of how many?
Hey, it's been like a long time since I have played that game.
When is this game even from?
It's from 1992.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
remember playing this in
newer than
1992 when I was like, what, 7?
Welcome to Hak5, where we're old.
Yeah.
We're going to play things that are even older than us. Stuff from the 70s. It's going to be rad.
So we are talking about memes today.
Oh man, I can't believe that it has been literally 10 years, over 10 years since we covered this topic on Hak5 about building like a homebrew arcade machine. We did that in season 1.
Season 1?
Yeah, we built ourselves what we called the $100 arcade cabinet because we recycled a lot of PC parts.
Oh, I remember that.
Yes.
It was like recorded in SD.
All of the season 1 stuff was standard definition. Oh man, this thing, YouTube had just come out. It was pretty cool. Anyway.
Just came out. So it's interesting because the games themselves haven't changed a bit. We're talking about emulating video games from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, probably before some of you guys were born, after all. But the ways to play all of these games it's kind of evolved a ton over the last decade.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and what's really fun is today, in collaboration with our sister show, Tech Thing.
Yay!
Yeah, we're building.
Which, by the way, if you haven't seen that show, it's awesome.
Oh yeah,
I do
absolutely.
it with I do that show with Patrick Norton, and it's over at tekthing.com, and you can also find it at hak5.org.
Yes, and the Hak5 YouTube channel. So
yes.
There you go. So subscribe to that as well. We are collaborating together on a build of an arcade cabinet.
Yay!
You know, building a homebrew arcade cabinet is a lot of fun.
My first one.
It's pretty fulfilling too.
Yeah.
You know, because you can just buy video games, but like there's something really nice about like putting. I mean, hell, we even have arcade buttons on this. Those right there are arcade buttons.
Yes, they are.
So for a different reason, but it's really fun to be doing this. And so what it means is that we're going to be able to play the classics. We're going to be able to play all of those amazing things from a childhood.
Space Invaders?
Space Invaders, Joust, Defender, Galaga. I own you in Galaga. And if we do it right, we might even be able to play some gems from the console era.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I'm excited to get my game on.
So when it comes to emulating arcade machines, there is one go-to piece of software, and I'm sure you know the name of it, MAMES. That's right.
MAME.
Yes.
So school me on MAME.
Okay, so what is a MAME? That's the question that everybody asks. It stands for Multiple Arcade Machine Emulator. So the first one was created around 1997, and they have been going on since then, and they basically recreate arcade game systems in software form on modern PCs. So that way, older video games aren't just dying away when our consoles die too. Because,
right?
You know,
Because
your
in
console
fact,
dies, can't read your cartridge.
Think of, actually, now that you mention it, that's a really interesting point to how we need to protect the legacy of like, you know, technology and computing and all this stuff in general. If you happen to be anywhere near Springfield, Missouri, go and check out the 1984 arcade. We actually did a documentary on just that fantastic place
like
that is
season 5 or something.
It's like a living museum
Yeah.
of arcade history. And now they mention it, they like went on at great lengths about what it takes to repair those sorts of machines because they're using, like in some of the cases, is using discrete logic. They're using chips that aren't manufactured anymore.
Yeah.
And so when these things die, like the vector scope monitors, for example, and the video games that you'll find like Tempest, which is fantastic, by the way, when those die, they're dead. So there's a very legitimate, awesome reason to have emulators like MAME, and I guess, of course, the accompanying files that they read, the ROMs.
So those are called ROMs, just like you said. Those are read-only memory files. They contain the game that you want to play. So read-only memory chips are found in game cartridges, arcade game main boards, etc., etc. So ROM dumping is when you have a cartridge and you want to actually dump the memory, dump the game from the cartridge onto some other saved file history, like something that you can use on a modern PC, like you would use with an emulator.
So it's a file that represents that physical hardware that we had previously, as children, held in our hands and gone.
Yeah, Exactly. Kids are missing out these days.
I know, right?
Good times, man. So it's archiving gaming history, but also some people have used it for illegal sales. So of course you have copyright holders who are not big fans of ROMs, of course. Newer console manufacturers have added security features to disable some ROM dumping, but generally what I've seen and noticed about online people, they've been able to reverse engineer this. So the whole security thing hasn't necessarily worked in all cases.
Right. So, well, actually, when you think about it, this is an
Like
interesting
the newest
context.
Commodore, I believe. That one kind of, yeah, they tried,
Yeah?
but
Okay. Well, the interesting thing about this is if you look at console history with ROMs, right? They literally are, because those original
Yeah.
consoles using cartridges, there's just chips on those boards holding the the software, the game
Yeah.
data in these little chips, right? And then as consoles moved to optical media, what were they using? CD-ROMs.
Yeah.
CD, read-only memory,
Yep.
and it's through like mod chips and things of that nature that you'd be able to take a burned disk. Again, like a burned CD is no longer a ROM. It's no longer read-only memory. So the same kind of things happening over and over. But what I find really fascinating is that the original Famicom, so the device that we know in the US as the Nintendo,
Yeah.
the original used floppy disks as its medium for the game data. And they shut that down because, as you know, floppies are really easy to copy.
oh yes, they are.
May have even been a don't copy that floppy movement for a little bit there. So anyway, just find that esoteric and fun. But that's the awesome part about
So
going down
80s.
memory lane through the means of MAME.
Oh, it's so great. Okay, so we should probably describe what kind of operating systems a MAME works on.
Yeah, well, it is in of itself, it's kind of like a virtual machine, right? You can
is,
kind of
yeah.
think of it like, oh, I want to run this other thing that's not a computer, well, it's a computer, on this computer. So like many other virtualization platforms that you'll find, like VirtualBox or things of that nature, they're cross-platform. So MAME runs on, there's flavors
everything.
of it for Windows, Mac, Linux,
Raspberry Pi.
everything in
Yeah.
between.
So it does run on pretty much everything, but I think that we should talk about MAME from the command line in Linux. You want to take this one?
Oh, of course, especially as you have switched over to Linux as your primary operating system, I could see why you would want to go with this. And running MAME is pretty simple in that it's actually just a command line program in Linux, which, I mean, bash, amazing possibilities with endless pipings and redirections. So if you're looking to integrate it into something else, it's really cool that it is simply a command line tool. And anyway, if you just have a ROM that you want to just get started in playing, grabbing yourself a copy of MAME may be just perfect. Grab that for whatever your distro is, and you should be off to the races.
So
Kind of.
The vanilla MAME distribution, that only comes in source form, which means that you are going to need to do all the compiling and all the dependency fetching yourself, which is my favorite thing to do in the entire world.
Yay!
But if you prefer something ready to go, like I do, sorry, you will like SDL MAME. They offer a ready-to-go download of MAME, which is super, super great. SDL stands for Simple Direct Media Layer, and it's a graphics library for Linux. And you can find a ton more info over at sdlmame.wallyweek.org. And no, that's not a saying for Walmart.
No.
Even though it kind
What?
of sounds like it.
It does sound like it now that you say it. It's essentially a precompiled version of SDL MAME for your specific distro. You want to head over to their download page? 'Cause
Yeah,
they make
okay,
it
I'm over
pretty
here right
easy.
now.
So you head over to their downloads page and you basically select from this list and grab the right one for your distro. So you're running Ubuntu 16.04, so you
Yep.
grab the one for Wily Werewolf.
And then I press go, and it's going to give me the option 64-bit, 32-bit, or the sources. So
Right.
I'll just use the .deb, the .deb for 64-bit.
Right, and so you already have those downloaded
Yes.
and ready to go. You will need to grab yourself a copy of MAME as well as MAME-data and MAME-tools specific to your Linux distribution.
Yes, exactly.
Right, and then we can get the installation on.
Okay.
So that's pretty much just a matter, command line installing a deb just like any other. We did this the other week with OpenVPN. It's dpackage, dpkg tac I. And then in this case, you have, in fact, let's ls real quick so that the ls start.deb.
Yeah.
Make sure that we have all three of them in the same directory.
Yep,
So we
I
have all those
three.
here. So yeah, dpackage tac I mame start.deb.
Of course. Okay, so you're probably going to get an error like I did about dependencies, so you can satisfy all of those by running sudo apt-get tacf install. So I'll run that real quick.
Oh, that's fantastic, because it's like, hey, you need all these packages? Cool, let's do it.
That's
Not
so
quite
nice.
a snap, but you know.
Okay, so now that that's done, I can run the dpackage taci mame.deb command again. And now we can just run the mame command. Yay, it works!
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
There you go.
I like it when
That's
things work.
simple. Except we haven't configured it.
We don't have any ROMs.
We haven't downloaded any legal ROMs, and yes, there are plenty of those. There's an entire homebrew scene of people making ROMs for these machines that
Yeah.
are no longer existing, and I don't know, it's just really cool. Why don't you quit out of that
Okay.
and take a look.
So I'll go ahead. Ooh, this mouse. So I'm going to take a look at man-mame. All right.
And as you can see, there is a lot involved in this. In fact, these are
Wow.
just the command line parameters, let alone all of the various configurations and configuration files. So to say that it is a very extensive program is putting it lightly. This is kind of like the Emacs of emulators, as it were.
Wow.
So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that real quick to like, if you just want to like dive right in. But you know, if, as you can see, it is kind of extensive. It can be a little bit exhausting. So if you're like me and you just want to, you know, if you want to run your own custom solution based on MAME, then that may be the perfect solution for you. But if you want something prettier, instead of just running command line MAME, well, thankfully there are all of these beautiful front ends and distributions that take a lot of that work out of it. And we're gonna cover our favorites as soon as we get back. You know what's even better than a retro arcade? Getting an awesome deal on a domain name, and that's what Shannon and I do. Whenever we have brilliant ideas and want to bring them to the internet, we go to domain.com. They have a super simple domain discovery system that makes it ridiculously easy to find the right domain for you, and their checkout system is a breeze, so you'll have your website up and running in no time. And get this, the guys over at domain.com, huge fans of Hack5, so they have the hookup just for you. It's a coupon code that'll save you 20%. Use the coupon HAK5, that spells Hack5, and get yourself 20% off when you go to domain.com. And get this, they have been supporting Hack5 for years and years, so you should send them a tweet at domain.com and say, hey, thanks for supporting Hack5. And when you think domain names, think domain.com.
We're back and I'm ready to make MAME pretty because we are building a freaking arcade after all. I mean, I don't want to sit there with a keyboard and a mouse. I would much highly prefer either these guys right here or a console controller like this one.
Shannon, your pony died because it wasn't pretty enough.
Oh, my pony never dies.
Oh yeah. Now we're going to talk about front ends versus distributions, which is really beautiful to think that there's actual Linux distributions specific for MAME, because there's a Linux distribution for everything you could possibly imagine. I love that.
There are MAME distros.
Yes, but basically, let's talk about the pros and cons here. Front ends, kind of amazing because what they do is they do require some more work to set up. They are more customizable. They are upgradable independently of the other components as opposed to a distribution. So the MAME emulator itself or whatever. But you know, you got to put in some work. So if you're looking to get started more easily...
Distros?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so distros are less customizable, they're a little bit less work, and they are tied in with other components like the emulator and the front end.
So that means that your upgradability, all of those components are all baked into one thing, so you kind of update the entire system as a whole.
It's easier. Basically. And there are some very popular MAME front ends though that we should discuss. The first one being Advanced Menu. So this is the Advanced Project. So this allows you to play arcade games with all sorts of different kinds of hardware, like any TV monitors, your PC monitors. They mentioned LCD screens in here. I wonder if LED, I guess that would work. And they run with all those multiple operating systems that you would pretty much expect.
Hey, shout out that it runs in DOS.
Yeah.
Right?
And the one thing that I wanted to point out about this is Advanced Menu, which emulates the sounds and the animated previews of games too.
That's nice.
It's cool, yeah.
The one that I find a
It's
little
like
bit
having
more
a
attractive.
fancy Xbox menu.
That's an older one.
Yeah.
One of the newer ones to hit the scene that looks amazing, I think, is this one called Attract Mode. And it is attractive. Basically, it's a graphical front end for those command line emulators. The same one that we just showed you, MAME. It'll also do MES and Nestopia, which is outside of the scope of this, but there are other emulators. And the idea here is it hides the operating system completely. And it's intended to be used with a joystick or a gamepad or a spin dial. So you don't need a keyboard to operate this thing. and it makes it ideal for arcade cabinets like they're
Yeah.
building over on TechThing. And of course, it runs in Linux, OS X, and even Windows-based systems. So I'm going to say right now, I'm going to really emphasize that I think Linux is a better choice as the base operating system for any
Well, this is
main-based
Hack
machine.
5, so.
It's not just because it's Hack 5, it's because inherently Linux is usually more secure than a Windows-based system. And when it comes to like security, you want to keep all of your systems updated, and you don't want to have an old Windows box kicking around on your
Yeah.
network because it's running your arcade cabinets system, right?
That's
or
a good
maybe
point.
maybe this is just an offline thing. Maybe you go General Adama. Was he
Although
General
you do
Commander?
need Ethernet to transfer over a lot of those ROMs, unless you put them on a USB flash drive or
Yes,
something. Okay,
yes.
so
there aren't
moving
evil
on.
flash drives, are there?
Popular MAME distros. So distros are the next thing. The first one being something that I really fancy. It's called Puppy Arcade. So this is lightweight. It's easy to set up. It's a MAME that runs on Puppy Linux. So no installation is required for this one, which is great. So it can be run off of a flash drive, and it emulates tons and tons of different consoles. In fact, it emulates all of these
Oh,
that
really?
I have highlighted right here. Yeah, so
Oh, wow.
all
Okay,
sorts.
so yeah.
PSP's on here, SNES, of course, Virtual Boy.
MS-DOS. I love that. It's got a little DOS box thing going.
I'm okay with this.
All right, cool. Another one that you might want to consider is if you remember, we had mentioned the advanced menu. If you're interested in checking that out and you don't want to have to go through a lot of the setup, if you want to just like burn a
The
CD,
advanced project.
there's Advanced MAME CD or Advanced CD, and
Yeah.
it just runs off a CD or a USB drive, and it's only 20 megs, which means it leaves tons of storage for all of your other ROMs.
Yay!
Yay!
Yeah, that's great. Especially if you have a computer that maybe it's too small to put an installation on or something
Right.
like that. So that's really, really nice.
And then we're talking about emulating machines from the
Yeah,
70s and
we are.
80s, so they weren't fast to begin with. So if you have an old
Maybe-
machine kicking around, this is a fantastic way to breathe some new life into it.
I wonder if this one works. Oh yeah, it's from a flash drive, so it would probably work on Raspberry Pi.
Oh,
but
absolutely. Well,
It depends on
no, not necessarily, because that's not x86, and a lot
Yeah,
of these are
exactly.
specific for x86.
Yeah, so
There's
that's
a
a
whole
tough
slew
part.
of
There is
these.
a
In fact,
Retro Pi though.
I was about to say, if we don't mention RetroPie, we are going to get like nothing but comments about
I
RetroPie.
have messed with Pi. I did try to get
RetroPie. See, we did
Ocarina
it. There
of
you go.
Time to run on it, but it was a little janky. So
You know what isn't janky?
Retro Arch, maybe?
Retro Arch, indeed. It's
Yeah.
based on Arch Linux, which we don't give enough love here on Hack 5 because we're Ubuntu people, but Arch is a really fantastic distro.
Arch is great.
And Retro Arch in particular.
So this one is fast, it's lightweight, it's portable, it comes with a ton of features. It includes retro replay, and it includes shaders for all your graphical interfaces. Multi-pass shaders. That's pretty
Yes.
sexy. So lots and lots of customizations are available through Retro Arch, and it's probably one of the most popular ones that I'm aware of.
It's one of the newer ones too, and here's the thing. I'm just going to tease next week's episode because we are going to be building one that is based on Retro Arch. In fact, we have it here running now on this Intel NUC, and actually I think this is overkill for the
cool.
kind of thing that we're trying to do. You don't need a massive graphics card for any of this stuff, which is really
Yeah.
beautiful. So if you want to get a head start on what we're building next week, what's running here, it's awesome. It is called Lakka.
Lakka!
LAKKA.tv is where you can find it. We're going to be building our very own main box with this next week. I guess we'll just go with like a gamepad or something for our build.
Yeah.
And then continue on with this series because this is a kind of like crossover
It is.
multi-series series where you can find all about the build out of this cabinet over on TechThing, which is going to be really exciting.
Yes, thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's my other show if you haven't checked it out yet. It's super, super fun, and it's much more consumer tech oriented. But we do
Yes.
some builds there too for our Patreons who support us over at patreon.com/techthing.
It's full of snubs. You know what else is full of snubs? Is the Snubs Report. I don't know if you guys have checked it out, but the latest one on travel tips is awesome.
Yes.
And you can find links to that on
one
the
was
Hack
fun.
5 YouTube channel. Just scroll to the bottom and you'll see our vloggy vlogs.
I'm going to do a car show next.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
Pimp my
what?
ride,
Pimp my
snubs.
ride.
This is going to be epic. I can't wait.
All right. So we have Pen Test with Hack 5, which is coming up in September. It's from September 18th 16th through the 18th. I totally know my dates.
Yes, and
you
this is
can
going
still
to be
register.
so much fun. Check this out because it's something that Sebastian and Mubix and myself put on, and we cover Metasploit, the USB Rubber Ducky, Wi-Fi Pineapple, Land Turtle. We put on a mock pen test in a story-driven environment that is so different from any InfoSec training you've ever done. It is so immersive and fun, and the camaraderie that comes out of this. It's always a good time. I can't wait to see you there. I've been getting Snapchats from people that are coming, and it's going to be so exciting. I can't wait.
And DEF CON.
DEF CON, for sure. We're going to be there in force. I can't wait. I'm just about to mail out Dark Tangent a hard drive full of Hack5 too, so that's going to be fun.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, we're syncing up. He's doing a really cool project. You know, we should talk to him on the show sometime because he's doing a cool project to like archive all of this hacker media.
No, what? That's cool,
yeah, it's good
man.
stuff.
And of course we have HackShop, which is hakshop.com. That's where you can support us monetarily and purchase yourself some really, really cool hacker gadgets like the Wi-Fi Pineapple and the USB Rubber Ducky.
We have new ones. Come and check them out. Oh, it's going to be so much fun. Hey, thank you so much for your support over the last decade or so. Apologies in advance that it took us over 10 years to loop back around to MAME. But it's really fun to like glimpse at this and see how far this whole project has come. And so, yeah, leave us your comments. Let us know your thoughts. Feedback at hack5.org. What kind of MAME system are you running? We want to see those. We want to feature those. We want a Technologist photo of the week of your arcade cabinet. Ooh. Hit us up and leave some love below. With that, if you just want to show your support right now, share, like, subscribe, all that social stuff, you do that, and we love it. With that, I'm Darren Kitchen.
I'm Shannon Morse.
Trust your Technolust.
I'm a bird. I'm Dr. Bird.
You can do the show with Tom Merritt.
Bye-bye. So Tom, tell me about Daily Tech News Show. What are you doing on the show this week? I know you hate that, right?
I ran out of words.
Bye-bye.
I have no idea. Oh, I like that one. That's one.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye.